But the media, all the media is owned by 5 people. All 5 people are Jews. They own all the media. 5 people own all the media. Every song, record, every movie company, every newspaper, news show, it's 5 people own it. All of them are the same ethnicity. Why is this important? Because if I own the media, I'm never going to report about me. So all you have to do is to say, who don't I see on TV? What am I not seeing on TV? Because that's why we think we as blacks are so bad, because we always on TV. We always in front of the camera doing something ignorant. Who's on TV not looking ignorant? Those are usually the people that control it. Because if I own TV, you think I'm going to make myself look bad? No, I'm going to make myself look good.
At a 1991 closed-door meeting of fellow internationalists, billionaire and former CFR chairman David Rockefeller praised his media allies. But his confidence that his words would not leave the room was later broken.
We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other publications whose directors have attended our meetings and restricted their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government.
That these men aim to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. In short, they seek total and quiet control of the entire world.
But you never knew it was about that. Are you seeing what I'm saying? You got to understand that what's running the world is not these politicians. It's families. It's banking families that run this world. Oh, can y'all please come up and you're thanking God. It's banking families. Number one is the Rothschilds. They said that these people's wealth is probably, they don't even know, but they estimated 500 trillion. Do y'all understand that number? No, it's just too much to even understand. Did you know that's half the world's wealth is owned by one family? If I was Satan, that'd be the family I would control. Then can you get the understanding? This family, he's given, listen to me close now. Remember the flood of Noah. God destroyed the world because the men had begun to receive knowledge from the fallen angels. The Bible says the fallen angels in Genesis 6 came and had sex with daughters of men and began to teach them these secrets, occultic secrets, which is really demon understanding. God didn't want that in the earth, so he destroyed all the world to get rid of this Nephilim, this offspring of angels having sex with people. And then these angels gave them this hidden knowledge. Y'all got what I'm saying? That hidden knowledge didn't die. It just kept going down to different people. We called it the occult. It was the same mystery religions of Babylon. It was the same what in Egypt. It was the same thing that the Egyptians was operating out of. That's why Egypt was able to do what they were doing. They were operating with supernatural demonic knowledge. Don't think the Egyptians was good. They wasn't. They was evil. The same way in South America, the Mayans, the Incans, these people operating with supernatural demonic knowledge. That's how they was able to build this stuff, and they can't figure out how they built it. Y'all got what I'm saying? That's why they was cutting people's hearts out, worshiping these demons, these fallen angels, because they had to keep appeasing these demons in order to get this knowledge. Come on, y'all. Well, that same knowledge of the occult, what does that mean? Of these inventions and ideas, the things that you think are new, was already there before. So all that happens is these families are given this secret knowledge that passes down, and they begin to learn how to manipulate through demonic knowledge the world to gain all the wealth and stuff. That's what they've done. They call it the occult, but it's the same fallen wisdom that they had before God flooded the world. Do y'all got that part? So this is what these families are operating out of. Oh, God. It's hard to teach church folk now. I think I need an organ. We got to have some excitement to learn. I'm trying to teach you. This is, now, these same families are connected through bloodlines. That's why, matter of fact, they interbreed. Because they got to have the same bloodline. As a matter of fact, I found out a good thing, that most of these families and elites have this rare blood called Rh negative. I just found that out the other day. But these families, they work through bloodlines. And if you're part of that bloodline, then you're part of that family, then because of this covenant that their forefathers have made with Satan, that they will sell their souls of life to Satan for all the wealth. And he's giving them the wealth, and he don't care. He give you all the wealth. He's giving them everything they're asking for. And
Freemasonry, headed by Lucifer, the great architect, claims to give you the light to bring man into his or her divine status, or Christ consciousness, the light. This is demonic. You open yourself up to the demonic. They will not tell you this when you first join the lodge.
I believe that the system of Freemasonry, the dynamic of Freemasonry, the spirit that empowers Freemasonry is Luciferian, is satanic.
It's satanic at the core. This whole country is not based upon Christianity. It's satanic from head to toe.
Freemasonry is based on demonism.
It may surprise some of you that if you had to put a name to the conspiracy that's come down to us through the ages, that some call the Illuminati, some other people call it other things, but I think if you boil it down to its purest, simplest form, you would identify it essentially as Freemasonry.
But the Rothschilds and the Masons, they combined together, and through this combination, in came birth through Adam Weishaupt. And Adam Weishaupt, he is the leader and the founder of the Illuminati.
Albert Pike, one of the most well-known leaders in the history of Freemasonry, said in his book Morals and Dogma that the source of the doctrine of Freemasonry and the Illuminati ultimately goes back to the Kabbalah, the Jewish book of occult knowledge. Kabbalists are similar to Freemasons. They build mind control programs and are skilled in subliminal messaging and manifestation through subliminal symbols, phrases, or numbers. They use forms of numerology and geometry to construct their mind control spells. Kabbalists are usually trained in a form of astronomy and sometimes in demonology. Who would want to carry out mind control? One category are the groups that use the Kabbalah. This, and this are all based on the Kabbalah, and no, none of these organizations are separate.
So that being said, here's the story. The Cabal has been planning to try to dominate the planet for many, many hundreds of years. If you really want to understand what the Cabal is, it goes all the way back to Babylonian money magic and the idea of using a financial system to create a disparity between rich and poor so that a small group of isolated power elites can control who lives and who dies, who eats and who starves. The top people are not elected. The top people are the ones that run the money system.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? I was telling y'all Wednesday about that Palestinian, Israeli-Palestinian situation over in Gaza, where the Palestinians are firing rockets on Israel. And the news is saying the Palestinians done fired 100-something rockets on Israel. What they're not talking about is nobody died. But they're really not talking about Israel killing hundreds of them with bombing campaigns. Why? Because who owns the news? So we're being programmed to cheer for something. We don't even see that as another side. Children are dying and everything. But we're cheering for this because we're being programmed to see one side of this conflict. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? I'm trying to show you how you already part of this. You're already being programmed. Are you there? The Bible says that this man of sin, this Antichrist, when he shows up, he is going to cause everybody, small and great. You won't be able to eat, you won't be able to buy, you won't be able to sell nothing.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
It is very clear that the head of the snake is the financial system. We can argue till the end of time about who runs the world. Is it the Jesuits? Is it the reptilians? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Freemasons? We can go on and on and on and on about this. But I don't think it is reasonable to even begin arguing about the mechanism that is used to exert this control. The mechanism is finance. The whole point of finance is to indebt, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loans you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then, you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud, which effectively takes the power that we have and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance. With the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take, they have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. And the most slovenly, disgustingly criminal, pedophilia, corrupt moral individuals, those are the ones that are rewarded in this system, which is upside down. We reward the pedophiles, we reward the corrupt, we reward the liars, we reward the people with no morals at all, and usually we compromise them under this system in terms of maybe a videotape. Maybe Barack Obama is gay. Maybe we have videotape of him having sex with another man, or perhaps some other acts that may be not so popular amongst many of the electorate. Or maybe we have videos of political leaders having sex with little boys or little girls. If I was in charge of the world and I was a psychopath and completely drunk on my own power, you can bet damn sure that's what I would do. I wouldn't allow anyone in a position of power who wasn't completely compromised. When you have an infinite supply of money, you can do this. Take that supply of money away, take that power back, put it in the hands of the people, get rid of fractional reserve banking, which is an obscenity in itself. Listen to the lessons of Jesus Christ if you're a Christian who got really pissed off when he went to the temple and he saw what the money changers were doing. Let's take back control of the issuance of money, and not just on a national level. I'm happy to see in Denmark that you have your own currency, you don't have the euro, but on every country's level, they should be issuing their own currency in a transparent, non-usury based way in which it really, truly benefits the people. And in that way, we can literally free ourselves of the banking debt which is drowning us all, and we can stop scrambling for the crumbs from the table of these filthy rich psychopaths and live in a state of abundance just by changing this one thing. And I'm not just talking about abundance for Western nations who have an artificially inflated value with their currencies. We all in the West are guilty of having that reward while the rest of the world is sucking on it. Every nation in the world can use a sensible financial policy to liberate themselves, to have world-class education, infrastructure. Everything that a healthy society would require can be had in the worst, most corrupt African country, in any part of the world. We can all have that if we simply change that one thing. John F. Kennedy did that about 6 months before he was taken out. He issued United States notes as opposed to Federal Reserve notes. I can assure you the powers that be knew the power of that act, and they took him right out. So the bottom line is, if we as people understand this very simple principle, just this one thing, change this one thing, we can solve every other problem you can name. I don't care what the problem is. I can bring it back to the financial system and an infinite supply of money for a bunch of psychopaths who are running the world, as opposed to an abundant supply of money for all of us. So in that sense, I'm very optimistic. This is not rocket science. I am not the smartest guy in the room. We can all understand this. And as soon as we do, we can exercise the same power that we had, but relinquished, and we can have a future for ourselves and our children.
Through the implementation of the Federal Reserve System, the government has become vested in these bankers, and they get their money from the bankers. And so then they impose a tax on us, which makes us more slaves, makes it more difficult for us to survive, right? Giving them more profits. And now what's happened is that through the Federal Reserve System, the bankers have pretty much taken control of our government. It doesn't matter Republican and Democrat anymore, because they're both the same. Neither one of them are talking about shutting down the Federal Reserve System or stopping the payment of taxes, you know, or any of the big issues that face Americans, right? So I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, okay, who was one of the Rockefeller family, and he, when I was running for governor in Nevada, he came to me, introduced himself to me through an attorney, and we became friends. We started talking about things, and I learned an awful lot from Mr. Rockefeller. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. And the goals of the banking industry, not just the Federal Reserve System, but the private banks in Germany and England, all over Italy, all over the world, they all work together. They're all central banks, and they're all part of the Communist Manifesto. You know, central banking is one of the major planks of the Communist Manifesto. We talk about America being a capitalistic country, but yet at the same time we have a central bank that plans everything for us, right? And the graduated income tax is another plank of the Communist Manifesto, right? So right there you have two major planks of the Communist Manifesto that have been brought in because of the Federal Reserve System, okay? So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. This is giving me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do.
Everything. Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf of these people. That's their goal, that's their intention.
The federal America is broke, not just broke, but old folk. I mean, this debt we're in, we'll never get out of it. It's going to take a world war to cancel this debt. That's what you don't see. Let's talk a little more. Remember Gaddafi? Well, let's go before Gaddafi. Remember Saddam? What did the media tell you? You was programmed. I'm gonna show you. What did the media tell you about Saddam? He's killing his people. He gassed. He's put these biological weapons on these people. He got weapons of mass destruction. Come on, talk to me. Now, that's what they told you. But the real thing was Saddam was about ready to start trading oil for euros. What does that mean? America has the oil currency. What does that mean? In order for you to buy oil, any country, that country cannot just take their money and buy oil. They have to first buy dollars. Come on, I'm gonna give you the whole thing about what this war stuff is about. They gotta first buy dollars. So let's say China, what is Japanese yen? Japanese yen. Now, Japan can't just take their yen and go to the Middle East and buy oil from Saudi Arabia with their yen. Because America has put itself up as the money police. Y'all got what I'm saying? So Japan has to come to America, buy our dollars, trade their money in for our money. You see what I'm saying? And then they go buy oil. You can't sell oil but in dollars. Now we don't even know this, but this is what all the wars are about. Saddam decided, I'm tired of America, imperialism. I'm gonna start selling my oil, and it was his oil. I'm gonna sell my oil for euros. I'm gonna cut out the middle America man and go straight to the Europeans. They said, oh, you gonna do that? Oh, he got weapons of mass destruction. They destroyed that country because he decided he was going to get out of the dollar business. That was the real cause. Did you know that? No. What was the media conditions you to think? Man, it was a mass destruction. I'm trying to show you how this new world order we already believe in it. We're already being manipulated. Y'all there? If you remember Gaddafi, why do they always say the same thing about all these dictators? They killing their people. They using weapons of mass destruction. They got biological weapons. They said it about Gaddafi. What they didn't say was Gaddafi stood up at the UN and said, look, I'm getting ready to create a new currency for Africa. It's going to be backed by the billions of dollars that Gaddafi had in gold. And he was about ready to change Africa, where Africa would no longer have to fool with dollars. They would have been on a whole new currency. Africa would have been rich overnight. That's what Gaddafi was trying to do. All of a sudden, Gaddafi's a war criminal. Look how they hunt that man down the street and killed him and took his gold. But you never knew it was about that. Are you seeing?
What sort of a financial deal should Obama be seeking to strike when he travels to China next month?
No, I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order.
What do you think the most important thing is for Barack Obama? Obviously, you're here to talk about the anniversary for U.S.-China diplomatic relations, but if you had to say this is going to be the country or the conflict or the place that will define the Obama administration, what would it be?
Well, when really a new world order can be created, it's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis. There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again, and the institutions and rules that worked so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened.
So let's leave them something to think about as they go home. Let them go home and say, Mr. Soros said, here are 3 things we can do, simply. 1,
well, deal with the mortgage problem, reduce foreclosures, recapitalize the banks, and then work on a better world order where we work together to resolve problems that confront humanity, like global warming.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts.
certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics.
Zohar's notion that light is a realm of no time and no space is quite consistent with special relativity.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
Prove that Masonry is of Jewish origin, we'll hear the following quotes. The Rabbi Isaac Weiss wrote in 1855, quote, Masonry is a Jewish institution whose history, degrees, assignments, signs, and explanations are of Jewish nature from beginning to end, end quote. Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism in 1897 in Switzerland, said, quote, Masonic lodges are established all over the world to offer us help to achieve our independence. Those pigs and non-Jewish Masons will never understand the final objects of Masonry. End quote. Masonry is rooted in the Jewish Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is the Hebrew word for received tradition. The Jewish Kabbalah is a medieval Jewish book of occult philosophy and magic based on mystical interpretations of the Old Testament. Kabbalah is important with magicians, sorcerers, witches, Satanists, as well as Masonic philosophers. And all the things I just mentioned that are rooted, and talked about Freemasonry, gets back and is rooted in the Jewish Kabbalah. The book Morals and Dogma has 65 pages dealing with the Kabbalah. Page 741 of Morals and Dogma says this, quote, Masonry is a search for light. That search leads directly back to the Kabbalah.
Solomon was a biblical magician king who is accredited with inspiring large parts of the corpus of works we now know as the Kabbalah. King Solomon ruled ancient Israel from the year 970 to 928 BC and had extensive knowledge of the Kabbalah, which he used to communicate with demons. The Kabbalah describes the many angels and demons who inhabit the spiritual realm. The Kabbalah gives Kabbalists a roadmap called the Tree of Life, which explains how to invoke and communicate with these powerful spirits. Satanists, occultists, and Freemasons worldwide venerate the memory of King Solomon, who owned a magic ring engraved with a symbol called the Seal of Solomon. This gave him power over the invisible monarchy of demons. This Seal of Solomon is better known as the Star of David.
You get back to the Masonic fraternity of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
Their great symbol is G. You'll look at the star on the compass, which is a stylized Star of David. In fact, they have the entire Star of David in many Masonic temples. Why is that? Masonry is a study of Judaism and of the Kabbalah.
The Jewish Tribune newspaper on October 28, 1927, stated, Freemasonry is based on Judaism. Eliminate the teachings of Judaism from the Masonic ritual, and what is left?
Albert Pike said in his book Morals and Dogma that the Kabbalah is the very basis. Without the Kabbalah, we would not have the 33 rituals of the Masonic Lodge. But the god they worship, the great architect, is Moloch, the star god.
And they will continue their plan to dominate the planet, keep it satanic, and remain in full control if we do not wake up. That's our responsibility.
Guided by your own critical thinking and what your heart and soul knows is right. And choose bravery over obedience. Obedience or bravery? Outsource your perspectives or do your own critical thinking? We are in the process of either the Great Reset or the Great Awakening, and the choice isn't Klaus Schwab's. The choice is yours.
1984 is, I believe, a quite terrifying masterpiece. So terrifying, in fact, I don't think I should like to read another like it.
I'm not absolutely dissatisfied with it. I think it is a good idea, but the execution would have been better if I had not been under the influence of TB when I wrote it.
You once claimed that you have an ability to face unpleasant facts. Is that what you've demonstrated in 1984 by drawing an accurate portrait of the future?
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
We're in the end game now.
That Great Seal of the United States has on it, Novus Order Seclorum, a new order for the centuries, for the ages, forever.